Okay, I have started recording, so I want to say welcome to day 2 of our teacher development session. Again, my name is Larry Davies, and thanks for joining yesterday. And I'm glad you can make it again today. For those who couldn't make it, I hope you enjoy the recording. I'm going to try and keep this one short. So right now I see 9 people. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to put you in 2 breakout rooms, so that you can recall what we did yesterday. So together, just talk to each other and think about all the activities, the different activities that we did. Okay, and I'm just gonna let you do this for about 5 minutes or so you can see how those breakout rooms work. And I'll be coming into your room for about a minute or two just to make sure that everything's fine on the conversation. So what I'm going to do first is unmute. I'm going to unmute everybody. It's going to get really noisy when I do that, but then I'll pop you into breakout rooms. And somebody just ran away. I'm putting you in 2 rooms. Looks like you're going to be 4 and 5. Okay, so again, in the breakout rooms, it's a simple 3-minute conversation. Talk with each other. What did you do yesterday? What did we do first, and then next, and maybe at the end, which thing stood out the most for you in yesterday's session? Okay, if you're ready to do that, can you type ready in the chat? So I know you know what's about to happen. And I also know that you can hear me because I have everybody muted. Okay. All right, here we go. So I'm going to hit unmute and open all rooms, and you'll be taken there. It takes about 15 to 20 seconds to transition over into that other room. Okay, everybody is unmuted and opening all rooms. Just about 3 minutes or so. Okay, you spent about 3 to 5 minutes in the breakout rooms. Hopefully you were able to chat about something small. Okay, talked about what you did yesterday. Anybody else? Did you have technical problems in the room? Okay. Voting or holding up fingers, right? I call that fist of 5. There's also 0, but I took out 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers, yeah. Anything else? One more thing? Okay, this one for me is most important, focusing on aims, not on technology. And actually, that's probably a really good segue into playing with Kahoot, because it is a technology, but we're going to see something a little bit more. Okay, so I've shared the Kahoot screen again. And so if you can sign in, it looks like people signed in but got kicked out for some reason or another. So again, if you can open your app, I already opened my app on the phone and I'm in there as Dr. L. I'm not going to play along. I'm just going to have it on my phone here, just so you can see how it works. All right. So I see 9 people in the session and 6 people in Kahoot. I'm just going to go ahead and start the Kahoot. I talked with Sammy, and I know most of you are Arabic language teachers. I come from a background of English language teachers, so I've made a little bit of an English lesson for you. Okay. Let's try it out. This is about a, and, the, or nothing. So I'm ready to learn some English grammar. Please take a vote on your phone. I'm going to hit green because I'm ready. You have about 10 seconds, that purple circle in the left. Okay. 6 people answered ready. All right, that's good. I'm glad we don't have any no's. That would not be good. Okay, here we go. Fill in the blank of the sentence. Blank milk is good for you. Is it a milk is good for you, and milk is good for you, the milk is good for you, or nothing at all, just milk is good for you? And again, your color corresponds with what you see on the screen. I'm going to answer this one. Okay. Most of you are good at grammar. I answered. I also got the same thing. That means 5 of you got it right and 2 of you got this wrong. Okay, that was for no points. So my question is, did you guess that answer? Did you guess nothing? Nothing. Or did you know that you don't put anything there? And of course, I'm going to answer this. You got about 10 seconds left. Oh, okay. Everybody says they knew the answer. So you're all good grammarians. That's a good thing. That means this lesson is going to be really easy for you. No problem. What I'll say is I'm going to give a little bit away right now. I kind of didn't want to do it, but I'll give it away. Just watch what I do and how I structure this lesson. Okay? All right. So in English, we have articles. And right now we're going to look at what we call indefinite articles. And we use indefinite articles when you don't know or you're not sure about something that's being talked about. So this is rule number 1 about articles. And there's about 50 or 60 different rules. I'm not going through all 60 today, but rule number 1. So for example, a pyramid. If you see it's an object and it's one object, in this case, a pyramid, but you don't know what it is. For example, this is a pyramid from, I know most of you are Egyptian teachers. That's why I chose a pyramid that is not from Egypt. So this is why we talk about a pyramid. If the object starts with a consonant, then we use a. And remember, that means all letters except the letters A, E, I, O, and U, which are the vowels, and sometimes Y, and maybe sometimes W. It depends on the pronunciation. Okay? So this is an apple. And if there is an object and it's a singular object and you don't know what it is or whose it is, then you would also use an. And again, if the object starts with a vowel, if it starts with A, E, I, O, U, then you need to put a little N in there so you have an apple. Apple doesn't work right, so we put in a consonant there to break things up. Okay, that's a simple rule. If it starts with a vowel, indefinite article starts with, indefinite article starts with consonant, you use a. Indefinite article starts with a vowel, you use an. Pretty simple, right? Okay, let's test it out. Would you like to see movie? A or an? Okay, everybody got this right? And why did you choose A? Just type your answer as why you chose A. Anybody? What's the rule? Okay, M is a consonant. Thank you. Sammy, you're really fast. You must be an English teacher. All right, now we have some scores. Nazreen, congratulations, you're the fastest. I answered very slowly and I'm in 4th place. Okay. Let's try the next one. Ready? Try to answer as fast as you can. Is that alligator? A or an? Is that a alligator? Is that an alligator? Okay, I answered. Oh, one person got it wrong. For those of you who got it right, why did you answer an? Just type in the chat again. Okay, I'll need a translation for that. Oh, thank you. It's a vowel. Okay. So alligator starts with a vowel, so you have to use an. Great. Pretty simple. Let's see the scores. Okay, Nazreen is still out in front, the big whiz. And Sammy, you need to be answering more slowly because I know you're an English teacher. All right, let's do the next question. Do you have a dictionary that I can borrow? So is that going to be a dictionary or an dictionary? Okay, everybody got that right because you know that the word dictionary starts with a consonant, so you use a to go with consonants, right? Oh, I forgot to answer. Looks like I didn't get any points, and there I dropped right out. So Sammy has a streak of 4 correct, but Nazreen is still in a huge lead here. Okay, let's move on. How are you doing so far? How are you doing with the lesson? Help, I'm lost. This is tough. I need a review. I'm getting there. I got this. I own it. You have about 10 more seconds to answer. Oh, everybody answered. Good. Okay, there's one person who's feeling not so great about things, but okay, that's fine. We'll keep going. Okay, here's the next rule. This time we're going to talk about definite articles. And this is usually what you know is being talked about. Then you can call this a definite article. And I have a couple of examples. For example, I hope I got this right. This is the Pyramid of Giza. I don't know how you pronounce it. I'll just say Giza. Am I correct? Is it the Pyramid of Giza? Or is it a different pyramid? Anyway, if there is one object, a singular object, and you know what it is, or it's a proper noun, this is where you use the, because you know exactly what it is. We don't just talk about a pyramid of Giza. There's only one, so we call it the Pyramid of Giza. Giza? Okay. I don't like mispronouncing. I'll do my best. But it is the Pyramid of Giza, right? I guess so, because you corrected me in that way. Okay, also, we would talk about the apple in this photo. So in this case, there's an object, it's a singular object, and we know what it is, so we are referring to it as the or the apple in this photo, or we can't say a apple in this photo. Unless there were many, many, many apples, then you might say point to an apple in this photo, but we still wouldn't know which apple you're going to point to. But if I said point to the green apple, and there was a green apple, then, and there's only one green apple, then it has to be point to the green apple. Okay, so if you know what you're talking about, you'll use the, which is a singular object. Okay, let's do some practice here. Can you tell me how to get to the Bank of Egypt near here? Oops, okay. A and the or nothing. Can you tell me how to get to a Bank of Egypt and Bank of Egypt, the Bank of Egypt? Bank of Egypt, near here. Oh, I need to answer too. Yes, if you can't answer in Kahoot, you can answer it right here. Okay. All right, so everybody got this right? That's pretty impressive. Can you tell me why you answered the? Yeah, that's fine. If you can't answer on Kahoot, just go ahead and answer here. You can join the pin. The pin is at the bottom of the game on the screen, by the way, 350539. Okay, so we're speaking about a specific bank near here. So probably the person is walking around the street and they know that that Bank of Egypt is somewhere nearby. So, and probably they're thinking of just one branch of the bank. So they're saying, can you, how to get to the Bank of Egypt here? So it's a known object, it's very specific. Here's where you use this definite article, the. Okay, let's see how we're doing. Everybody is still in the same place. Sammy got 5 in a row. That's pretty good. How about in this photo? Is that a Nile alligator, an Nile alligator, the Nile alligator, or is that Nile alligator? Okay, notice you only had 10 seconds to answer. You got to go a little faster now because we're moving a little bit faster. Okay. Uh, 2 people answered Why did you answer Why and not the? Okay, it's not a famous thing. It's a common thing, not a specific thing. Okay, so your answers are not wrong. This is why I don't like teaching English grammar anymore. And this is a bad example, and you are right. However, in this case, Nile alligator is a proper name. So with proper names, we always need to use the. And you can argue against me, and I'm not going to fight you on that one. But that's how I would explain it. But also, I haven't been an English teacher in a long time, and I really don't like teaching grammar. So it's more of a demo than anything. However, you answered my questions, and a lot of your examples as to why are pretty good too. Okay, so it's capitalized. That means it's a specific noun, so it should be the. Anyway, so there was no movement there except for me getting the right answer. Let's try the next one. Cairo Museum is closed today. You got about 14 seconds here. A and the or nothing. And I chose my answer. Yeah, the pin is at the bottom. We're almost done, and then I'm going to talk about things. We'll have a short discussion about things. Okay, 4 of you got the, and for those of you who did not choose the, 1 person chose and 1 person chose nothing. Can you tell me why you chose that answer? Actually, specifically, the person who chose an, you are definitely incorrect. The person who chose nothing, so the answer would be Cairo Museum is closed today. Why did you choose that answer? It's a known thing. I think your explanation is a little bit off, but I don't think your answer is completely wrong. Sometimes, and this might depend on the local people and how they refer to things. So they could say Cairo Museum and everybody knows it's the Cairo Museum. They're more likely to say the Cairo Museum, but there are maybe some people who might say Cairo Museum is closed, and that's acceptable. It's not bad grammar necessarily. So in this case, the best answer is the Cairo Museum, but Cairo Museum with nothing is also acceptable. But and Cairo Museum and a Cairo Museum, no, because I think there's only one Cairo Museum that we know about that we would be speaking specifically about. At least I think so. Okay. Now I'm on fire with 3 correct answers. Although those of you who got it wrong, your explanations are right. We'll talk about these things. Okay, how about now? Are you getting the idea of definite and indefinite articles? You still feel lost, struggling a little getting there, or you own it? I'm going to choose that I feel lost because I don't like teaching grammar. So I'm the one person who said I feel lost. Okay, the rest of you feel good. You got your articles and definite, indefinite. Okay. So there are many things that shouldn't have an article at all, and many rules to remember. Now, when I was putting this together, I looked at a page and got a few examples, got some ideas, so I assembled together the way I wanted to do it. Then I came to all of the exceptions to the rule because I know you're Arabic teachers, and I'm pretty sure Arabic is a much more regular language than English. English can be very hard to learn because there's so many rules and so many exceptions to the rules. And articles, definite and indefinite, is one of these grammar points that has so many different rules that we can be here forever going crazy trying to explain things. So this sentence, money is important. Here we're talking about a thing, so we don't need to say a money or an money or the money, but we just say money. So we don't need any articles when we're talking about big things like money and a few other things. Yeah, you think you informed about it, so you don't need, oh, okay, that's fine. So I'm going to stop here. This is as far as I'm going to get with the lesson, because I want to go back and tell you about things that are going on. So you can continue to introduce the different grammar points and give mini quizzes like I've done. And this depends on the size of your class and the time that you have. I could go in many different directions with this particular lesson right now, but I wanted to keep this one short. And this is what I want to talk about. This Kahoot is designed as a blind Kahoot, true or false? And if you're not sure, take a guess. Okay, one person said false. The rest of you said true. This is actually what I'm going to talk about today. Obviously, I'm not here to give you a grammar lesson. I'm here to talk about ways to teach online that can and should be effective. And so we're going to look back at what we just did and talk about it a little bit and have a short discussion. Okay. So I got 4 answers in a row. That's fine. Nazreen is number 1 on top. Okay. So we're going to talk about blind Kahoots. So the first thing I want to say is that I have seen teachers, many of you are familiar with Kahoot. Okay, oh, sorry. First, remember, English grammar lesson is finished. I'll go back and I'll talk about this and I'll share some of this with you. Okay. But what I wanted to talk about today was the blind Kahoot. Okay, and again, I've observed many teachers using Kahoot. Many of you are familiar with Kahoot. What I have seen, though, is almost all teachers I have seen using Kahoot use it at the end of a lesson, whether it's at the end of an activity or a small unit or a larger unit of a lot of information. and they'll use it at the end to review concepts and vocabulary and ideas. So they use it strictly as a review tool. So yes, it's a gamified tool. And as you can see, there's a time limit on questions that you can put, and that gives it a little bit of competitive edge. So the gamification aspect is great and it's fun, but you can do much more with Kahoot. And the blind Kahoot is a way to get away from just using it to review. So you can use it's called Blind Kahoot, and you use it to introduce new topics. And there's a pretty simple formula for it. And what you just experienced right now was the formula. So I want you very quickly, and you can do this in the chat down below. Try to think of, I'm trying to see how many questions I had on here. I think I had about 27 different slides in this Kahoot. And I think this is the last one. I'm gonna click next. Okay, I don't want you to do this one yet. Hang on, and I can't go back. Kahoot doesn't let me go back. I'll have to blast through this. All right, I'm just gonna skip this for now. Sorry. And I'm gonna skip this one for now. And I'm gonna come back. Give me just a second here on the screen. Okay. Okay, and then at the end of the Kahoot, and I will come back, it shows you the number 3 player and the number 2 player, and then our winner with the most points. All right, so what I want you to do, Nazreen, congratulations. You win confetti. So what I want you to do is think of this Kahoot that we just did. What was the first question I asked, and then what happened? Try to recall the steps of the entire Kahoot. So where did we start? Do you remember where we started? Okay. Started by introducing a rule. I did something before that. Okay. I'll go through this again so you can see. Okay. So I actually, I started with a quick poll, which is, are you ready to go? Okay. So starting with a poll is good because again, in a blind Kahoot, just like in any lesson you introduce, you want to get your students ready to learn. It can be, okay, and someone says there was an introductory question, exercise about milk. Okay, we'll talk about this. So this first slide is to get people ready. Are you ready to go? Is everybody ready to learn today? So this is a good way just to get them familiar with using the Kahoot system if they haven't used it before. So you're getting them with the technology, and this is the place where you'll be able to correct any technology problems if you have them. Now, one thing I'm seeing about Kahoot is the only control I have as a teacher is I can only go forward to the end and then start again. I can't use Kahoot to go back. So this is a little bit of a disadvantage of Kahoot because it's a gaming system and it's made to keep tabs and keep score on things. So keep this in mind when you're designing something like this. But it's always good to get people ready to learn in some way. And I think a poll is good. Another thing I do a lot is I'll use some kind of, because I work with, again, college teachers, I tend to have some kind of a quote. It's usually a famous quote about the topic I'm about to do so that people can people can think about it. In this case, it's just, are you ready to learn about English grammar? People can say yes or no. It doesn't matter what the answer is, but hopefully everybody answers they're ready, and then you can move on out of the problem. Then I start with this first question. Milk is good for you, and what's the answer? Now, because most of you are language teachers, you already, all of you are probably English as a second language speakers. You've already studied this type of grammar. But the purpose for this first question is, again, to see, it's like yesterday's KWL. What do your students know about this grammar lesson that you're about to teach them, but you're not telling them what the lesson is? So the idea of this first question is to ask them a question that you think they probably don't know. So if you're introducing new vocabulary or any new points, this first question is a good place to ask vocabulary. And knowing the Kahoot gaming system, this question can be worth 0 points because you don't want anybody getting points for getting this one right. You're assuming that everybody doesn't know the answer, but the point of this first question is to get people interested again in maybe, oh, here's some new grammar words that I don't know. Or here's a new piece of grammar that I don't know. I've never encountered this before. All right, well, this might be interesting, but I can't answer the question. So the question is not here to discourage them. It's here to get them interested in whatever grammar point or vocabulary point or whatever you're doing to get them, to start to get them involved. Okay. And then going through the scoreboard. And then I like this one. After you ask the first question, it's possible that some people got it right. So then you just ask them, well, okay, for those of you who got it right, did you really know the answer? Or did you guess? Yes, I guessed, or no, I didn't guess. So as you saw, and I know I'm keeping your microphones off, and you have to decide how you're going to work with students on this one. But for those who guessed the right answer, many of them will admit, okay, I only guessed. I really didn't know what I was doing, and it was multiple choice, so I got it. So this is another way of getting you to know who knows what. Again, it's kind of the K of the KWL. You want to make sure that the grammar point you have or the vocabulary you're using isn't really known by your students. And if it is known by some, okay, then you can help them work with you in some way as the Kahoot goes on. Okay. Another thing I've seen teachers do, well, let me just go on and I'll talk about that point in just a second. Okay. So then, so we've done a get ready to learn. We've given them one question that should be difficult. We've asked them if they really knew what they were talking about when they answered. And now we're introducing our grammar points here, or one of the grammar points. What a lot of, I've seen that a lot of teachers don't know that you have the ability here in Kahoot just to have a static information slide, just like in Nearpod, just a slide that you pop up. And there's text above, text below, and you can put in a picture and you can use that to give a mini lecture like I'm doing right now. So this is the way to introduce something new to them, obviously. And then, so there's grammar point number 1. This is grammar point number 2. And 2 examples, right, of the indefinite article. 2 examples with what the rule is all about. My advice here is if you are using slides like this, keep the words on the slides to as few as possible. I just kind of typed in a lot. And my example was just an apple. It could be this is an apple, or there is an apple on the table. I could have it in a sentence, but I wanted to focus on the word "an" with an object just to make it as simple as possible. So how you design that is going to be up to you. But here's 3 slides in a row that are information slides. Now you have time to input information with your students. And then you can have them practice. Immediately they're going to practice these things. And as you saw here, what you're getting them to look for is the letter M in movie so that they know that it's a movie, not an movie. And you will also remember, okay, here's what I was going to say earlier. Uh, I have seen teachers use this and then they see that everybody got the right answer and they'll go, oh, good job, great, let's move on. And I will say to those teachers, please don't do that. Please do what I did with you, which is I said, okay, you all got this right. Can one of you tell me why you think this is right? And somebody typed in, well, movie starts with a consonant, so I have to use a. So this is me pushing the students to be more active, using a little bit higher order thinking skills. They have to now analyze their answers, and it's helping you to see that they're not guessing, that they're getting the grammar point right, but they're doing it through a little bit of analysis. So don't just jump and praise your students when they get right answers. Ask them how they knew they were right. Or if someone got a wrong answer, ask them, why did you choose that answer? And maybe they'll say, oh, I wasn't thinking, or whatever. But just avoid outright praise, especially if everybody gets something right. Because you want to keep this as interactive as possible, and you need to check to make sure that your students aren't guessing all the time. Now, I tried to introduce something really easy, and everybody should get it right. But if you're introducing something more difficult, this first review question, you might get more wrong answers than right, and that's okay too. As long as, and my advice would be for those who got it right, you just say, okay, you got it right. Did you guess again? Or how do you know you're right? So give them a challenge. And that way now you're getting your students to teach that, reteach that grammar point to those who got it wrong. And that's, now you're showing a little bit of progress. And that's why then you pop in and you give another example. And hopefully it's just as easy. It's either, all they're looking for now is a vowel or a consonant. And obviously you're all in competition to answer the questions correctly. And one of you got it wrong. So I could say, okay, for the person who said it's a alligator, why did you choose a? And that person hopefully will admit, oh, I see, alligator starts with a vowel, so I need to use an. Okay, this is progress. You know you have progress. And I would even say the best combination is when you introduce a point, have 3 quick questions about them. And as you can see also here, there's only the 2 choices. I don't have the, and I don't have nothing up there yet. And remember that very first question had all 4 options, a, and, the, or nothing. Now it's just a 50-50 between a or and. Okay, so by this point of the 3rd question, you hope that most of your students, 80-90%, are getting things right at this point. And if they aren't, you can always adjust the next time you do this lesson and add in maybe a 4th practice question. Okay. Then, as you saw, I did a stop point. I do these checkpoints all the time. You know this. I did this yesterday. I make sure I put in at least 2 of these whenever I'm doing things with faculty, because this really takes into account the attention span of people. And when you stop and say, how are you doing? That gives them a 30-second, 1-minute pause to think about what's happening in their brain and to tell you what's going on in their brain. And you need these kind of formative assessment activities with your students as much as possible. And again, if you're teaching Arabic, I'm not sure the first language of your students studying, but it could be the same question in Arabic. How are you doing? As long as they know the phrase and they can answer. Your answers might be more simplified than what I have here. That's up to you. But I would definitely recommend, if you're introducing new points, you've drilled them a little bit, you've given them some grammar points, you've given them a couple of drill questions, stop and check to see how they're doing before they move on, because what you're about to do is introduce more grammar points. So here's the definite article again, and this is laid out in the same way. Here's one example, and here's a second example, and I've tried to make the second examples align with the first examples so they can see the difference between a pyramid and the pyramid, an apple and the apple in this photo. Again, that comes down to your design of how the grammar point's going to do, but I would say if you give 2 or 3 examples each time, this is a good thing. Then you'll see in this question, I do have nothing in here. I could have just had it as a, an, and the, and I probably should have just kept it there, but I popped in nothing. Actually, now thinking about it, it's probably better not to have nothing because I've only introduced a, an, and the. I haven't introduced nothing yet. Okay, and again, I would go through this the same process here. 8 people got it right, 1 person got it wrong. I might ask the 1 person who got it wrong and say, you got it wrong, what did you choose and why? I did that with you, and the problem I was having here, and this is why I don't like teaching grammar, again, your answers as to why you chose the wrong answer were good answers. They were actually acceptable answers, which told me that I did not construct these questions as carefully as I needed to for this grammar point. So it does take some preparation to put these together. And if you are giving examples, again, I don't speak Arabic, so I don't really know the grammar and how that works in these particular ways. But you probably have your approach and you know how to do that. You know how to put that out into this kind of introduce small piece of information, give a couple of examples, give them some mini quizzes with some good examples, and find out how they're doing with that particular grammar point. Okay, and again, I do this 3 times. And in this case, this question isn't as good as it could have been. It could have been better. Is that a Nile alligator I see on the river? You know, so it could be that. You'll also, there's also in the blind Kahoot, as you move forward with these little mini quizzes, the amount of time you give them is going to be shorter and shorter. And in Kahoot, you can also allot different points to different questions. So remember that very first question that you had about milk, that was worth 0 points. But then after you start feeding in the grammar points, you're giving them maybe 30 seconds to guess, and then 30 seconds, 30 seconds. But as you progress in the lesson, and they've practiced each of the separate ones, now you start to give them a little bit more complicated questions and a shorter time to answer, and that's worth more points. I will point you to, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't prepare those. There is, you probably have to Google it, but if you Google blind Kahoot, there is a woman who explains it, but the blind Kahoots also have a template that you can follow. And so what I've done here is tried to give you a quick overview of what that template looks like. Okay, so again, there's a second question. And again, this is the second round of practice. And go ahead and answer. Everybody likes to answer quickly, right? I know you're all in competition with each other to answer these things too. Okay, most people got it right. There's some wrong answers. You look at the score, and again, this is the stop point. So we've introduced grammar, 3 quick questions, stop point, next grammar point, 3 quick questions, and stop point and checkpoint. Okay, I'm just gonna, well, I'll let the time run out. So the question is, what's the difference between Kahoot and blind Kahoot? There's no difference. Blind Kahoot is just the name of what I would call an instructional strategy. And again, I'll repeat myself. Most faculty that I've seen are not aware of this way of using Kahoot. The only awareness they have is to use it at the end of instruction to review questions and just to gamify in the competition. So I'm not saying don't use it that way. That's a nice way of using Kahoot. But I am highly recommending you do a little bit of research into blind Kahoot, how the instruction works, and then constructing, because the main difference between the regular use in Kahoot and blind Kahoot is blind Kahoot introduces new topics. And there's a good way to introduce it. And what I've just shown you and what you've just experienced is a small taste of the blind Kahoot. Starting with a difficult question, introducing new information, practicing that information, stopping to see how people are doing, introducing more new information, practicing that, integrating those two pieces into a bigger thing that moves a little bit faster for review, and taking lots of time to ask your students how they're doing with the questions that they're answering correctly. That again, if everybody gets a question right, that's okay, but that's a point where I would say can the fastest person in this one, oh, it doesn't come up. You could say the fastest person in this one, uh, how do you know that was the right answer? And this is a way for you to challenge your students beyond just guessing the right answer. I know they're racing each other to get the right answer, but you want your students thinking and repeating the grammatical points, for example, so that you know they know what they're doing, that they're more conscious about it. Yeah, so the way the Kahoot is used, that's why this is blind Kahoot. So what I was doing here was I was about to introduce the time where you don't use definite or indefinite articles. But then I thought, okay, this is enough of a taste. So I could again introduce, where I might have gone from here is introduce this, have a couple of examples, and then 5 questions, but this time I would mix up the 5, or no, actually I wouldn't. I would keep it the same way. I would introduce this topic, which is you don't need articles, definite or indefinite in this case, and then I'd give 2 other examples where you don't need definite or indefinite articles. Then I would have 3 questions to practice that with a, and, the, or nothing as the choice, but nothing would be the answer for all 3. And then I might say, okay, here's a bigger quiz. And in the bigger quiz, you might then, the first 3 would be nothing, but then you might have 5 more questions that would be 10 seconds to answer, worth 2,000 points each. The Kahoot engine, when you're making questions, gives you the option of assigning a number of points and the time. So as you progress through a blind Kahoot design, the questions they'll have shorter time to answer, but they'll be worth more points. Because again, it's gamified and it's a competition, and you're going to give the number 1, 2, and 3 people something like an A, whatever, a high grade or whatever however you do that to motivate your students. But I decided I would stop there because the example was, I think you got the example. So that's why I decided, okay, let's stop. And here's the idea. You can introduce grammar, more quizzes. It depends on the size of your class, how much time you have. You want to put into adding more slides and pushing this out. But by the end of this lesson, they should have a very good idea of the rule of a, and, the, or nothing, the use of definite, indefinite articles or no articles in English based on all the rules. And that can be, this is using a Kahoot, an entire class. And again, it's fun, there's competition, but you take stops, you get time to give them mini lectures on what the grammar looks like, and then you drill them in that. So this is a very controlled practice. And then in your next class, you can have them do some creative things with the articles, or even ask them to create questions based on the grammar rules they learned here. There's a lot of ways you can go past this. But this is a different way of using Kahoot outside of the basic review of things. Okay, so this Kahoot is a blind Kahoot. I'll just hit true. I'm going to skip this. Well, if you want, you can answer. There's 14 seconds. Everybody should answer true because it is. So I don't have a link for you here but please do Google Blind Kahoot. There is a woman who introduces it. It's about a 15-minute film, 15-minute session where she explains it all, but she doesn't say anything that I haven't already said, really. So that's up to you. Okay. Okay, so that's all. I would like you to do this now. One word to summarize what you take away, because we're pretty much finished. I will answer questions, but I do want to do this for the recording. Oh, only one person did it. I wonder why. I had that it was really short. I guess I should have had that longer. Okay. This particular tool in in Kahoot, it's called the word cloud tool. Nearpod does not have this tool. And basically, I'm sorry about the very short time. I should have made it longer. So this again is a kind of a reflective activity that you should do at the end of a blind Kahoot. It helps your students think about what they've learned, but you want them to boil it down into one word. And then when everybody types in the word, I really wish I could redo this one or reset it. Sorry about that. But once they all type in their words, you get a very small word cloud. And what I like about this tool too is that it's anonymous, so you don't know who said what, and that's a good thing. Although I think Kahoot, like Nearpod, also has reports, and the Kahoot report, I think maybe we'll show this. I haven't really looked at Kahoot reports because I haven't used Kahoot that much, but I am using it more and more, especially as blind Kahoots, because I have a lot of topics I need to introduce to the faculty that I usually work with. And then there is this poll. Again, it's the same poll, stop point. Are you ready to do a blind Kahoot? You ready to try it out? The answers are no, or no, because first I'll do some research, yes, but move cautiously, and yes, I plan to work with colleagues. So I do want to get your answers here. Okay, we have a couple no people, and a couple of cautious people, and most of you plan to do this and work with colleagues on it. So I think this is a good thing. Okay, so that is all. I wanted to keep this one to about an hour, but if you do have some questions, I think what I can do, give me just a second here. I'm going to unmute you and then remute you, but allow you to open up your microphone. So if you have any question or any observations, sorry, one more thing is that you can do this one too, I think. There's a feedback on your phone. You should have a little, this is also a feature of Kahoot that I like. You get immediate feedback from your students on the lesson. So how do you rate this Kahoot? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna be harsh on myself. I'm gonna rate it a 1. Did you learn something? This is thumbs up or thumbs down, yes or no. Do you recommend it? Yes or no. And to continue, tell us how you feel, happy, neutral, or unhappy. So of course I hit awesome on my phone and it tells me I'm 8th place and lets me do next. And the other thing that Kahoot does here on the follow-up, as you can see on your device, it shows you how many you got right, and it invites you to do personalized learning version of it. And I believe you're able to review, your students are able to review these questions on the device, and you're also able to open up the Kahoots you make as a kind of a self-study thing. But it's very time limited. I think it's limited to less than 2 weeks if you open this up. But as you can see on your app, it's inviting you to do a little bit more too. So on the teacher side, I can see, okay, I got a 4-star rating, and most people look happy, and 7 people said they learned something and they would recommend it. So this is also good based on that. And as you can see, new game, save results, view report. So I'm going to click on view report here. Actually, I haven't done that. I'm doing this with, so you can see, you can look at your students and see who got what right and how many they got right. And then you can go through each of the questions, and it gives you a little bit of data on things. So this is what a report looks like. I'm not sure if you can, I'm pretty sure, yeah, you can download it as a Excel spreadsheet. So this also does have pretty nice support features. Now this is Kahoot Premium. And again, this Kahoot I'm using through my college. So I have all the features enabled. I don't really know what what the free features are, but I think it's pretty much most of these features, maybe not the reporting feature, I'm not sure. Okay, and that's all I have for today. So I invite short discussion for maybe 15 minutes or so. We'll stop at 4:30. If there's anything, any notes you want to make or any questions you have, you can open up your mic and please ask your question, unmute yourself, and then when you're done, mute yourself again, please. Are there games designed for one-on-one? I think with Kahoot, you mean outside of Kahoot, other one-on-one games? You're talking about different resources? Oh, on Kahoot. So the way Kahoot works is you're able to design in any way you like, and nobody has open access to what you've designed, so it's pretty much private. And so you can use it in any way you like. You can use it with one student. Um, but I will say Kahoot is definitely designed with competition in mind. If you do it one-on-one, it's not going to be as fun gamified because they're usually racing against time with each other. So there are the factors of the fastest one with the right answer gets the most points. And then at the end, as you see, there's number one. The person who has the highest score is the one who got the most answers in the fastest time. So I don't think it will work as well one-on-one. And there's probably other software out there that would fit more in the needs of you wanting to do things one-on-one with people. Okay, great. Anyone else have a question or observation? Are there already designed games, or how can you design? Kahoot also does have, as you can see on the screen here, there's this tab that says Discover. And I think if you click on Discover, as I'm doing, you can search through their pre-made Kahoots, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them. So a lot of these are already prepared. Depending on your account, you might be able to save these and customize them a little bit. I think on a free account, actually, I really don't know. You need to go in there and look at what the different plans are for pricing. On a free account, you're probably okay. You're free to download their pre-made material, but you're not allowed to edit or alter it in any way. And Sammy points out that you can save these on a free account. And I'm pretty sure you can save things, but the question is, can you edit things for your information? And are there in Arabic? You would probably have to search. I know that most of the time this is in English. I don't know if you're able to search by language or not, because I haven't really dug into this part of Kahoot. I just like doing my own stuff and making my own thing. But I wouldn't doubt it if there is there, and I would say any kind of internet search you can do, you'll probably find some Arabic language educators who have used Kahoot for teaching Arabic and probably already have a lot of pre-made lessons. But I'll also say, again, just think about how you use the Kahoots. Don't just use them to review, use them to introduce new things if possible. Okay, so here you go. I typed in Arabic. Looks like learning the alphabet, basic names of food. See, people aren't describing in detail what this is. It just says Arabic. I don't really know what that is. Okay, Arabic verbs. This is good. Here's letter practice, color practice. So a lot of lessons have already been made. Um, I don't know if free accounts, I don't know if you're able to upload with a free account. I would guess yes. I'm guessing the answer is yes, you can design, and yes, you can upload. You definitely can design. Uploading, I'm not sure. The other thing here too is you can see the username of the person who designed things. And I think when you click on their name, then you can see everything they designed. But I don't know if there's a way to communicate with them. I know that if you design a Kahoot, you can share it with another Kahoot user, and then that person can take that copy and do some kind of modifications there too. Okay, I have a full account, so I have all of the features. I can duplicate any of these and customize them any way I like. As you can see, there's subject. You can look by subject. You can look by level. Most Kahoots are not designed for higher education, but I use Kahoot for professional development with faculty because they need the instructional design online help too. Created by teachers, business users, see all languages. Oh, here we go. I don't see Arabic in here though. Oh, here we go. This is it here, right? Am I reading it right? Oh, sorry. Arabic colors. More filters, see all languages. And this is Arabic here, right? Al-Arabi. Did I get that right? Apply. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, people are designing, learning Arabic for English speakers. So again, there's a huge number of Kahoots that are pre-designed. I would still say learn how to design it, make your own materials is better. But look at the tool, again, like I said yesterday, look at all the functionality of the tool. If there are quiz questions that you can take and copy over to your own, then that would be good. But I don't know if you have the ability to do that unless you just make a copy for yourself and then you delete what you don't want and add what you want and keep what you keep. So there's a lot of different ways of doing that. And again, as you can see, you can classify it as public Kahoot. I can preview this. I can share it with other Kahoot members. I can duplicate it. Flagging is if you find something that has bad material, you can flag and the Kahoot people will look at it and maybe remove anything that's not appropriate for whatever reason. Here I click show answers so I can look very quickly over how things are going. Okay. About 7 more minutes, so I can probably try to answer 2 or 3 other things. So here I am with creating new Kahoot, and look at that. Here's a template for blind Kahoot right here. Template inspired by higher ed instructor, practice spelling adjectives, formative assessments, teaching with slides, and discussions with polls. I'll just show you what a new one looks like. This is what the building interface looks like. The questions you can do are quiz questions, true, false, open-ended questions, puzzles, polls, oops, the word cloud, and just basic slides for information. So it's a little bit of a limited tool set, but the thing about quiz questions are more than one answer. I'll just type here A, B, C, D. That's answer number 2, answer number 3, answer number 4. So you can have questions that have more than one correct answer also. I didn't do that. You can upload any kind of image or YouTube link. They have image library, which is royalty-free stuff. You probably want to do that. I like to create a lot of my own images, but I did use the image library for most of the things here too. And you can set your time limit from 5 seconds to 240 seconds. And as you can see, you can set your points from 0 up to 2,000 on the slider. And I guess it's just either 0, 1,000, 2,000. If you set up the blind Kahoot, it will recommend the amount of time and the number of points as you go through the lesson, which I think is interesting. Question bank. Oh, okay. So even I haven't seen this. You can start typing questions if you want, and maybe they'll pop up. That's a very interesting feature. It's very easy. Right now I have 2 slides that I'm working with, and I can click and drag to rearrange the order. I can duplicate the slide. I can throw the slide away. I can click on the slide to see which ones are good. I can double click on the one I want to work on. You need a minimum of 2 answers. Using this particular one, you can have up to 4. And like when I was introducing the grammar points, I can start with the 2, option of 2, then move to 3, then move to 4, and then multiple questions. So again, it's a pretty flexible tool. I do like the flexibility of this. One disadvantage I'm seeing is that during the lesson, I can't really move back and forth like I can in Nearpod. So remember, it's made to be gamified and it's very linear, so there's no turning back unless you go to the end and start again. And you can preview your work, or if you're done, you can give it a title here. And that's pretty much how you construct it. There is a link here that says import from spreadsheet. So you could prepare all your questions and answers in one of their templates. And they do have a template that you can download on here somewhere. And you can just type in all the questions, and then boom, import. The questions are made. Then you can add in other interactions. And again, the interactions here are a little bit limited. They're limited to true, false, and open-ended, and puzzles and polls and word cloud and slide. Nearpod has several other features that I like. Okay. We're done. Thanks a lot. I will have this recording since I'm doing it from my room today. And I hope to see you again, and we'll try to see what topics you need and to create more content in future. Let's see how it goes. Okay. So again, thanks for joining, and hope to see you again soon. Until then, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hopefully see you again soon.